Our most notable alumnus this year, long overdue. I want to thank you for getting me back into education and to tell you that I miss our exchange of jokes session. I was wondering if you remembered the one about the Indian chief and all of his loves and the deer. If you do, I'll remind you that you were going to tell it to your luncheon club downtown. I know that you enjoyed it, and I think they did too. I'll see you at the luncheon. Casey will be there too. Thanks for everything.
If parents knew that we were celebrating Dick today, there would be a line out this door, straight down the driveway, down Griffin Road, and straight to Shawnee, of parents who are so grateful that Dick graced his presence in our lives and our children's lives. Dick, to me, was everything you would want in a middle school head, in an educator, in a friend, in a mentor, in a confidant, in an advisor. He was wise, beyond wise, thoughtful, creative, open-minded, able to quote anything from Freud to Jung to certainly Obama and to any great thinker. And he was funny. I would tell him I was embarrassed, and then he would tell me about the time his dog ate Katharine Hepburn's, I believe it was her chicken or her cuckoo. He had amazing stories to tell about people that were always insightful, loving, and which made you look at yourself a different way. My children were transformed by him. I certainly am in his debt for the rest of my life, for the way he taught me education should be, can be, and how I should be to be a good parent to my children, and bring out the very, very best in them. I thank us for the opportunity to thank Dick, and I hope that all around this city I know there are people who feel the same way as I do. When I come to the school now and we go to where Dick, the middle school was built, it was built around Dick. It was built around the idea that there was a person we were all waiting for. The children, the parents, the teachers. There's this huge, huge room, and it just empties out into his office. And when Dick was here, we were all out there because we wanted to stop in on Dick. People would stay after school to wait for Dick to lend them a ball, to meet the dog, to just talk, because Dick always had something to add, funny, witty, insightful, thoughtful, and always caring. And without him, that room looks empty, big, and barren. It took his personality to fill it up. I thank you, Dick, for being there for me as a friend, as an administrator, as a teacher, and for being part of this wonderful community and bringing so much love and thoughtfulness into it.
My darling Dick, when I was asked to make a video for you, I was so excited because to me you are the ultimate professional. When I began teaching at Country Day, I'd had 4 principals prior to you, but never have I had anyone who was so engaging, so involved, and so passionate about what he did. And plus that, you were very smart. What you did with the faculty, you made me love every minute of the day, because no matter what problem I had, I could come to you and you would say, oh, let's solve this. This is great. So problems to you were like what you fed on. You loved them and you would solve them. If I had a problem with parents or students, it was good. Most of the time, however, I had no problems because I was working for you. And you, to me, are the ultimate boss, the person who represents the school, represents the students, represents the parents, and represents the faculty. When I had any time I was having trouble, even personal trouble at home, I could come and talk to you. You were more like a mentor and a counselor to me, and probably to everyone who knew you. And what I like best about you is you always looked for the good in everybody, so that when anyone, child or adult, came into your presence, they knew that you would bring out the best in them. So Dick, I love you dearly. I'm so glad you're a Democrat, and I am going to really enjoy my time working and watching you be the political analyst you've become. So thank you again for being a dear friend, a dear boss, and the best person in the world. Thank you.
Wonderful memories of Dick Schwab. First of all, I have never worked for anyone, well, I've never worked for anyone that made me laugh every single day. Made me laugh, made kids laugh, and what I loved about Dick was his ability to create wonderful moments for children, for faculty, for parents. He was patient, and he would bring people along that weren't on the team yet, you know, until they got along. And he had a way of talking to you about things that sometimes were unpleasant, but made you feel like you hadn't ruined the world. You just had been human for that moment and screwed up, and so now you can move on to the next. And I used to love to watch him do that with kids, you know, and I'm sure everybody will mention, but you know, he's the greatest interrogator since Columbo, you know, and because he could get kids to open up in ways that and he would wait. I mean, I started here in the middle school as his assistant, and he would have kids in there sometimes 4 hours sitting in his office just waiting until he could crack them. And because he wanted them to have the dignity of telling the truth and not going home with that lie and allowing it to erode yourself the way he knew it did with kids. The other thing I loved about Dick, particularly when I was his assistant, it was crazy. Working in a middle school office is as crazy as the kids we work with. And it's fast-paced and things are happening really quick. And every once in a while, we get sideways with each other. Mostly, he'd get really focused on something and he'd just bulldoze it, get you through. And sometimes not, you know, sometimes it hurt my feelings and sometimes I hurt his. But I never, ever went home when he didn't say at the end of the day, gosh, what happened there? We got a little sideways today, didn't we? Maybe we should talk about it. And we would talk about it, and I'd go home happy, and he'd go home happy, and I always felt like I had to my own dignity back. There's just too many memories of Dick to include them all, but I too love that spontaneity that he brought to this place, and the wonderful team that he assembled. He was the great hirer, because you always knew when he found the right person, because it didn't matter if he had 3 more interviews, it ended. He'd hire him right there on the spot if he found the right person. And he found a lot of right people, and because he was the right person. He was the right person for us, and he cared about his faculty, he cared about kids, and he really cared about parents. And he would listen to parents until they felt heard. And sometimes that was a long time. One way that Dick really helped me and helped the school was everything that he did was done on the developmental issues that middle school kids are working with. And he taught us all about them. He brought people in to teach us more about the developmental issues. And everything we did was predicated on making sure that we were serving the needs of young adolescents. And curriculum, even recess, discipline, everything was based upon what are the needs of kids that are basically from 10 to 14. He was a master. But I miss him every day, but I also am thankful for what he gave me as a person and as a teacher. It's a great legacy that he leaves at this place. So, Dick, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you.
I know.
Okay. Well, I've been pestered by Mrs. Rust, Mrs. Young, and Mr. Lindahl to do this. So, Mr. Schwab, was trying to think of some of our first memories as the Savarna family from you, and I remember walking behind you in the back circle when the North Gym still had hot air balloons painted on it, and you with one of your sons in tow heading into preschool. I think our second memory, which is several years later, is Nick sitting, waiting somewhere in the back circle, probably for a football bus to pick them up or something, and Humphrey coming along and peeing on his book bag.